What's going on out there, YouTube? John back again. Been a productive last month or so. Gotten a bunch of new pickups recently. You will be happy to know that there will not be a single DVD or Blu-ray in this video. This video is going to be strictly every Laserdisc pickup that I've had. I've dealt with new sellers on Laserdisc forever. I got a ton of stuff on eBay, got a few things from Kevin Cobos, and had to go through a couple outside sources. Hate to say it, but there's actually going to be no local pickups on this video. Been pretty dry around here recently. You know, nothing's really been popping up on Craigslist or no really good half-price book scores or anything like that. So, had to resort to the internet for all this stuff. But it's going to be a good video. Hope you guys enjoy it. Let's start off with the one name you hear me kick around the office, Kevin Michael Stewart, one of my best friends. Ended up hooking me up with these two martial arts flicks. Ended up getting the Heroic Trio. And then this other one I got from him called The Executioners. Now, never seen any of these movies. I know that Ronnie Yu did both of these, and I'm a big Ronnie Yu fan. You know, Jet Li's Fearless, also did Bride of Chucky. You know, one of my underrated movies that he really did, The 51st State, also known as Formula 51. Very good film. So I figured I'll check these out. You never know. They might actually be pretty good. All right. Next seller I dealt with. New person who's been coming into a lot of Laserdiscs as of recently because she lives out in California. That's one of the big Laserdisc places. Maxine Davlin. She's been selling stuff left and right. Ended up picking up a ton of stuff from her. We'll start with this one. Delicatessen. Jean-Pierre Jeunet. Never actually seen this movie. Been wanting to check it out. I do like The City of Lost Children, so I heard this is in the same vein. So, be interesting to check that out. One of the most notoriously... You know, I don't want to call it a bad movie because it's been further revised as being a good movie, but, you know, it's just notorious because it bankrupted a film studio. So they say. That would be good old Heaven's Gate. Never seen it, been wanting to. It's just, with the notorious story behind it, I've, you know, been kind of avoiding it. But now that I finally got it on Laserdisc, I think I'll check it out. You know, I do want to get that Criterion Blu-ray, but I need to actually watch the movie first before I drop down 30 bucks on a movie that who's going to know if I'm going to like it or not. Movie I've seen countless times, but she had the DTS edition of it, Deep Rising. One of the most underrated funny monster movies ever. Director of The Mummy did this movie, so this is like the same kind of humor. So this is a really funny movie. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Another one I've been wanting to get for a while. I was a pretty big Michael Jackson fan when I was a kid. You know, I still am. But this one, this Michael Jackson, The Legend Continues, I actually used to have this on VHS, and it was pretty cool that she had it on Laserdisc, so had to pick that one up. I actually got a few more things from her, but those won't be coming in until next week. Next thing I got... Red-Blooded American Girl. Now, I remember seeing this movie when I was a kid. I haven't seen it in many, many years. But I know it's not that easy to find on DVD. I think it did come out on DVD. At least I hope it did. But I haven't seen it in a long, long time. And I still remember, you know, it's a pretty good movie. So I've been wanting to check it out. When she had that, I had to hop on it. One movie I bought before, but I wanted to get this again because it was just in much better shape. And that was Hackers. You know, this one was just in a lot better condition. The one I had, you know, there was nothing wrong with it. It worked perfectly fine. It was just an ex-rental, and I'm kind of hazy on stuff like that. I like to have, the mintier the better, as they say, so this one's nice and minty fresh, so I'm going to keep that one. Another good, like I said, we talk about underrated films, you know, who can't go wrong with Phantoms. This is a pretty decent movie. It's not as, you know, it is bad, but I mean, it's decent. I enjoyed it for what it was, so... You know, I had to get that one to check it out. Another good one, I've seen this one countless times. Princess Bride, easily one of Rob Reiner's best movies, you know, behind This Is Spinal Tap. That's still always going to be my favorite movie that he ever did. But this one's right up there. I love Princess Bride. Great, great movie. Another one, Deep Impact. And you know what, I don't know whether or not I want to say I enjoyed this or Armageddon more. I'm kind of split on both of them. I do enjoy Deep Impact, though, because it had a much better story, and the ideas behind it were actually more plausible than how Armageddon was, because Armageddon was a load of BS, but Armageddon was entertaining. This is just more realistic, so it's kind of split down the middle. Another one, never saw this one, but wanting to check it out. It's called The Tale of a Vampire. I just bought it because it has Julian Sands, and I remember seeing trade advertisements for this in Fangoria back in the 90s, so I wanted to check that one out. One disc I had to get from her, Spawn 2, brand new and sealed, hasn't been cracked yet. I do have the original Spawn, but I haven't even watched that one yet. I've seen these countless times. I used to have these on tape. These are pretty good animated series. I used to watch it on HBO when it came out back in the day. One that she had It was the last one I picked up from her. I've been wanting to get this one for a very, very long time. I gotta give a shout out to my man, Culture Dog Sam Hatch. You know, he clued me in on this one. But once she had it, I was all over it. I didn't care. I knew I was going to get it for a better price than eBay was, and that is the AC3 edition of Pink Floyd The Wall. Now, this one is special for one big reason. This has a commentary on here by Alan Parker, and that commentary was never ported over to the DVD. And from what I understand, you know, when this thing came out, it immediately got recalled because Alan Parker just didn't like how it went. There was supposed to be a DTS edition of this, but that got canceled. So, you know, copies of this are fetching, you know, like 40, 50 bucks on eBay, you know, and I'm just glad I finally have a copy of this for myself. Can finally retire my old copy of The Wall. All right, thank you, Maxine. Did good on those. Next person up, another name we kick around the office a ton of times, good old Peter Biancardi. He came into, what is it? He bought some stuff off a guy from eBay just so he could get Death Wish 5, but there was a bunch of Bronson movies in there. Now, I need like 4 more Bronson movies. At the time, I needed 4 more Bronson movies to complete my 1980s Charles Bronson collection. Well, he had 3 of the 4, and I'm like, dude, you gotta hook me up, man. I need to get these to complete it. You know, we had to do some bartering, but he finally broke. So, but anyway, got 10 to Midnight. Easily one of my favorite Charles Bronson films. This one is like easily top 5. This is easily one of the best movies he's ever done. I love the storyline. The acting is actually really good. You know, I like an early appearance by Andrew Stevens before, you know, he got famous or started his own film company. But I just really enjoy this movie. So glad to finally have this one. I'm not going to spend $30 on that freaking Blu-ray. So I've got it on DVD now. I've got it on Laserdisc. This one, I finally, this one actually is special because me and Peter have gone through 3 copies of this movie. This is the 3rd copy, and the first 2 were completely rotted to death. Now this one we got lucky from this seller. Finally got a rot-free copy of Death Hunt. Never actually seen this one, but this is like, Charles Bronson only did like 2 movies in the 1980s that were not part of canon. This was one of them, and I actually do have the other one. So I've never seen Death Hunt, actually. Been wanting to check it out, but this one is a really good one. And it's a shame it's a non-canon film, because it could have been. But The Evil That Men Do, this is a really, really good movie. I've always enjoyed this one. A lot of good acting from the supporting cast. Bronson's really doing his thing in this, but it's the supporting cast that makes this movie good. And easily very gory, you know. It has a lot of good kill scenes in it, so I really enjoy this movie. I picked it up on DVD recently, too. So next one up, I talked about this on Facebook a while back. Good old Gattaca. And if you guys can believe it or not, this is pretty much rot-free. Now, I have to use the term pretty much because the first, literally, just the first 5 minutes of this movie, there is some very light speckling going on. After that, it clears right up. There's absolutely no more speckling in the picture. You flip it over to side 2, it is 100% clean, not a single solitary speckle. So I said it on Facebook, and nobody else has beaten me to it yet, so I'm going to say it again. I think I have the least rotted copy of Gattaca in existence. If someone can prove me wrong, please leave me a comment. Please drop me a message. I would like to know if anybody out there has a completely rot-free copy of Gattaca. Until then, I think I got the cleanest copy out there. So, anyway, one movie that he ended up getting out of that lot, and I was so psyched when he got it. I was just like, oh my God, you got to let me get this one. You know, and that was good old Suicide Kings. This movie now, unfortunately, you had to deal with that a little bit, but I'll live with it. You know, I mean, the disc is in perfect shape because the guy who he bought these from, the way he stored them was horrible, and some water got in there and caused some jacket damage. But the disc is perfectly fine. I mean, anyway, this is just a phenomenal movie. Easily the most underrated Christopher Walken movie, at least in my opinion. Not everyone else's probably, but this is one of the most underrated Christopher Walken movies out there. This has a phenomenal supporting cast. You know, Dennis Leary, Johnny Galecki, Henry Thomas, Jay Moore, Jeremy Sisto. I can name like every actor that's in this movie. I have seen this movie countless times when it came out on VHS. This was literally one of the first DVDs I ever bought back in like 2000. So I was just very glad to have this one on Laserdisc. I know it's not a really expensive Laserdisc, but it's not that cheap. So I'm just glad to get that one. Another one. Now, don't bash me, guys, because I have never seen this movie. A lot of you probably have, but I sure haven't. Das Boot. This is the original theatrical cut. Now, before you say, oh my god, it's Sony. Well, guess what? This is actually a DADC Austria pressing. There's absolutely no rot on this. It's been checked 2 ways, so it's perfect. Perfect condition. So I'm going to check this one out when I get the chance. This is one of my dad's all-time favorite movies, so one of these days I'm going to check it out. And a lot of people have this one in the collection. Mars Attacks. Underrated Tim Burton flick. Always liked it, so going to enjoy watching that. And then again, what Laserdisc collection wouldn't be complete without? Good old Under Siege, Steven Seagal. Had to get it. He didn't charge me anything for it, so. But, hey, it's Under Siege, man. It's a great movie. One that he had no problem giving to me because he got the Japanese disc, but I've been wanting to get this one for a while just so I could have them both. Finally got Bride of Reanimator. Very good sequel. The only Blu-ray talk you'll hear me say is I actually did get the Arrow Blu-ray of this, and it is beautiful. I actually have the German hard box, or the German Digibook Blu-ray of that too. But been wanting to get this one on Laserdisc for a while. It's always eluded me. Actually, I still have the Pioneer Special Edition DVD. So I've got this movie like 4 times over. But yeah, Bride of Reanimator, a great sequel. Wasn't loved when it first came out. Now it's finally getting the love it deserves. Very good film. One that he finally got for me that was in a lot, Batman Mask of the Phantasm. I was a big fan of the animated series when I was a kid. This was a great movie too. One of the truest Batman experiences out there. You know, love the Joker in this. It's just a good movie. One that I was scared that was going to be a rotter, but luckily was 100% rot-free, Candyman Farewell to the Flesh. Now, I actually haven't seen this movie. I've only ever seen the first one. I got to get that one on Laserdisc someday, but until then, at least I got this one until the time being. Another good movie from Abel Ferrara. You know, probably one of the few mainstream films he ever did, because Abel Ferrara, he's a very good director, but he likes to shoot outside of the mainstream. That would be Body Snatchers. One of the, you know, like the second remake of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but a really good remake nonetheless. You know, again, I've been tossing the term underrated around a lot recently in this last video, but honestly, this one is a very, very underrated film. This movie is very well done, and I really enjoy it. So glad to have that one on Laserdisc. Again, I keep saying underrated. I don't know why, but, and again, another underrated movie, Senseless. This one is actually very funny. You'd think it's one of those stupid 90s, you know, cheesy flicks, but it's actually pretty funny. It has a lot of good funny scenes in here. I've watched it several times, and I enjoy the heck out of it, so glad to have that one. And the last thing good old Peter got me. I'm not the biggest fan of musicals. Not, at least, the mainstream musicals, like The Sound of Music and all that other stuff. I like the outsider musicals. Now, my favorite musical will always be Little Shop of Horrors. That is just one of my all-time favorite movies. But my second favorite musical will always be the Rocky Horror Picture Show. This sucker is 100% complete. Has the book, it has the inserts, it has both discs, and it has the 24 karat gold CD. This cost me all of nothing. The reason this didn't cost me anything, I'll at least say this much. Most of the stuff that you saw from Peter, I didn't have to pay a dime for it. The reason being, I ended up helping him with a lot that was out in a town called Schaumburg a few weeks ago. I saw it first, but unfortunately I had other arrangements that I had to do the very next day. I messaged him and I said, hey, you know, I found this really cool looking Craigslist lot. You want to check it out? And it was like the guy, you know, I'm not going to disclose how much the guy took. That one I'll keep silent. But long story short, Peter ended up getting like 4 Laserdisc players and like over 150, if not 200 movies for one hell of a good price. And I pretty much let him have that because I wasn't going to be able to get out there to get it. You know, but as a thank you, he ended up hooking me up with a bunch of stuff and said, hey, thanks a lot for getting me that really cool lot. I really appreciate it, you know. So, thank you, Peter. You know, I'm in your debt for this one, man. Finally got me my Rocky. So, now for some new names, other than Maxine. We got some new names here. I promised these guys I would give them a shout out. Alex and Katie Goodrich from Cleveland, Ohio. At least I hope it's Cleveland, Ohio. They ended up getting rid of most of their Laserdiscs because I guess they needed to make some room or something like that. You know, they had their personal reasons, I guess. But they were doing one hell of a fire sale. I ended up getting a lot of good stuff. There was one movie in that collection I missed, and that was Mom. And I'm still on the hunt for that one. And I know who got Mom, but you know what? He beat me to it, but I still got some good stuff. So anyway, first one I got, Bad Dreams. Nightmare on Elm Street ripoff, but a good movie. I like it. I got it on Blu-ray. Enough said. Next one up from that, we have one of my all-time favorite 80s movies, License to Drive with the Coreys. Not going to talk too much about the movie itself. It's a great movie. It's funny as hell. This one is actually a little different from than what you guys have been seeing on DVD and Blu-ray over the last couple of years. There was a thing that had to do with the soundtrack. There was a song that had to get taken out. So because they took the song out, they actually added a few more bits and pieces here and there to flesh out the movie a little bit to say, hey, we're sorry we took the song out. So this is actually pretty unique to Laserdisc because it's actually a tad bit longer than the theatrical cut. But then when it came out on DVD and Blu-ray, they were able to get the song rights back and they restored it, and that was the original cut. So, but this one's pretty cool to have. This has a tiny bit of rot on it. It's like it's a Technodisc pressing. But the funny thing is, if you play, I just recently got a new player. I got a Panasonic LX900. The noise reduction on this sucker is actually so good that it actually doesn't show any rot. Like, the rot's really not that bad to begin with, but this strips it all away. So it's very, very watchable. I don't care if it's a little bit rotted. It was a good price, so I couldn't pass up. This one I got for free because, you know, I hate to say it, I've been kind of making a name for myself doing these videos, so I got this Cartoons for Big Kids disc. You know, it's nothing too special, but it was their way of saying, hey, you know, thanks a lot for buying everything, and we like what you do, so, you know, thank you guys. I want to keep doing this, so let's keep the party going, as they say. Another good one, I love this movie, Carnosaur. One of my favorite gags about this movie is, there was a great show that came on in the 90s called The Critic, and there was an episode where Siskel and Ebert were the guest stars, and the best joke they made was, like, oh my god, Ebert, you like Benji the Hunted. Well, you like Carnosaur, Siskel, you know. And after that joke, I found Carnosaur and rented it, and I actually enjoyed it. Diane Ladd was phenomenal in this movie. She gave a great performance. You know, easily one of the most evil characters on screen. So, but it was a good movie. I wish I could say the same about Carnosaur 2. Not a great sequel by any stretch of the imagination, but it's Roger Corman goodness, so what are you going to do? It's still good to have. One I picked up on Blu-ray, but been meaning to get on Laserdisc for a while. Pumpkinhead. I really, really like this movie a lot. I haven't seen Pumpkinhead 2 yet, but one of these days I got to change that. But Pumpkinhead, great movie, man. I got this one on, I got the special edition Blu-ray of this, but I want to get it on Laserdisc for a while. This one I haven't, you know, I've seen it once. I remember liking it a long time ago, Lucky Stiff. I mainly picked this one up because Tony Perkins, a.k.a. Norman Bates, he directed this movie. I don't want to say right before he died, but, you know, coming up on the cusp of right before he died. So, you know, it's a pretty good movie. I've been wanting to check it out again. Got a nice late release from them, and they sold to me for a really, really good price, and I couldn't say no to this. Analyze This. Really, really funny movie. This part I'm going to hate saying because he was a phenomenal filmmaker. Honestly think this was the last good Harold Ramis film. A lot of people really liked The Ice Harvest. I really didn't like that movie. You know, and I got nothing against John Cusack or Billy Bob Thornton. It just was not a good movie to me. I honestly think this was the last good Harold Ramis film. But that aside, this is still a great movie. Billy Crystal and Bobby De Niro are phenomenal in this. Analyze That wasn't that great either, but, you know, I enjoyed that movie for what it was. Another one, I haven't seen this one, but I was told good things about it. The Carpenter. From what I understand, the only way to see this movie uncut is on Laserdisc. All DVDs are cut. So, another one, don't think this one ever hit DVD. Birds 2, Land's End. I got the Birds on Blu-ray, but been wanting to check this one out for a while. Again, we're tossing that word underrated around quite a bit, and we're gonna toss it around again. Another good underrated Rodney Dangerfield movie, Meet Wally Sparks. I saw this when it came out on video back in the 90s. It is so funny. I've always enjoyed it. So many good sight gags. Rodney Dangerfield's last good movie, so I enjoyed it. A lot of people didn't. I loved it. So, next one. This one I strictly got for the wife. I ain't talking about it too much. Varsity Blues. She loves this movie. I could give two shits. So, next one up. A great movie, but unfortunately marred by the fact that it is cut to shit, and that is Intruder. You know, I just wanted to get it to say I had it on Laserdisc, but sorry, all you fellow Laserdisc fans out there. Get it if you're a fan. if you really want to enjoy this movie the way it was meant to be seen, get it on Blu-ray from Synopsis Entertainment. You know, that's the way to go. 2K restoration, has all the gore scenes intact, has all the cool bonus material. Get this strictly as a fan, and don't pay out the nose for it. Don't. Because this movie is not worth like no $20, $30, okay? I wouldn't spend no more than $7, $8 on this thing just because it is cut. So, anyway. Had to get this last one here to complete the set. Death Wish 5, Face of Death. Worst one of them all, but had to get it to knock out good old Charlie there. Next one, again, underrated. Been thrown around way too much tonight. Memoirs of an Invisible Man. I had this one before, but I was stupid and got rid of it, and I had to get it back again. So this one's back, and it's staying. Now, this is the last disc I got from them. Now, they cut me a good deal on 2 discs. One being Cellar Dweller, and the other being Cassandra. Now, they didn't charge me too much for these. Now, Cassandra I've never seen, so I couldn't tell you anything about it. But Kevin Michael Stewart, he's told me it's a good movie, so I figured I'd check it out. The funny part they told me about this was they said, well, hey, tell you what, we got Cassandra and we got Cellar Dweller. Now, our players won't play them. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty messed up. Tell you what, give us $5. You know, we'll sell them to you. If they don't play, you can use them as like framing art. I'm like, okay, cool. You know, $5, I'll take a risk. Well, long story short, Cellar Dweller, they were correct. It was unreadable. The reason being because it was rotted to hell. And when I mean rotted, I mean death rotted. Like completely, unequivocally unwatchable. The only way I was actually able to get the disc to play was I did a time search. Because if you hit play, the laser wouldn't even read the disc. You had to do a time search, and then you got there. And when you actually got to that point, it was literally watching snow. Just snow falling on the screen. So that disc was done. Cassandra, on the other hand, it played. And it's got a little bit of rot. It is a 3M pressing after all. But it's a little bit rotted. But it's watchable. It's 100% watchable, especially on this Panasonic over here. It strips away that speckling pretty good. So totally watchable. Not worried about it. So thank you guys for that one. Appreciate all those discs, guys. You know, wish I could buy some more stuff off you. But I know you guys are cleaned out right now. But thanks again anyway. Next seller I dealt with, David Anderson. Bought like 5 or 6 movies off of him. We'll start out with good old Animal House. Trying to get my Signature Collection series knocked out, so this gets me part of the way there. I think I got about 10 more to go. Finally got, but, you know, I say that gets knocked out. We got one more that we're knocking out here. Finally got Slave Girls from Beyond Infinity. Now I finally got my Shadow Entertainment labels completed, so that's good. Oh, these discs just fell down, so give me 1 second. There we go. Like I said, Shadow Entertainment's done. I got 2 more to get, and that's from Torchlight. Unfortunately, it's another sub-label I found out that Paramount decided to give to Charlie Band, so there were 2 movies on that one, Beach Babes from Beyond, and, oh, what was the name of that frickin' movie? Test Tube Teens from the year 2000, so those are the next 2 I gotta get. Then I got a complete Charlie Band Paramount collection, so. Next one up. Been wanting to get this one for a while. Never seen it, but Waxwork. Only way to see it uncut, Laserdisc. That's why I got it. So hopefully I'll be checking that out. I hear Zach Galligan's pretty good in this. Got this one. Was not one of my favorite sequels, but I got this one strictly for the wife because she loves this movie. The Rage Carrie 2. It's a late release, but you know what? Got it for a good price. Ain't complaining. Strictly got it for my wife. And lastly, from him, actually that was it. All right, well, moving right along. Next seller. Now, I want to save this front disc for last because that was like the best one I got from him. So we'll save that. Let's finagle around here real quick. There we go. All right, so next seller, name I've tossed around once or twice, Matt McNew. Had a nice little sale going on. He needed some money. I was willing to give it to him because he had some really good stuff. First one up. I need to get part 2, but as it stands, I got part 1, Demons. I actually enjoy part 1 more than I do part 2. I did buy the Synopsis Blu-rays of these. I do have both steelbooks, but both Demons movies are good. Demons is just a little bit better. Killer AC3 track on this one. Same with Tenebra. Had to get that one. This one I actually haven't seen, but I want to check this out before I drop like the $30-40 on that steelbook from Synopsis. So, got to check out Tenebra. I do like Argento. I've seen a lot of his movies, but Tenebra is like one of the few I haven't seen. Like, I've seen everything but Tenebra, so. But speaking of Argento, last Argento flick, Suspiria. 3M pressing, no rot though, so it looks pretty decent for what it is. I know there's probably a nicer Laserdisc out there. I think the Japanese one's pretty nice, but this will do just fine because I don't want to spend that money on that. Besides, you get deep red with it, and it's in straight Italian, so you can't even watch it, so I couldn't justify the purchase. Next one, again, another good underrated horror movie, Tales from the Hood. Saw this one when it came out back in '95. Always liked it. Wish I had it on DVD, but that DVD is getting hard to find. Hopefully they'll put it out on Blu-ray sometime soon, but this will suffice until then. A while back, I had one guy I sold off Laserdisc. I think I ranted about Phantasm. I may have ranted about it, but let's do a quick rant. Guy listed it as in decent condition when it came in. It was unplayable. So, was very disappointed about that. At least I got a refund. But Matt actually had this. Finally got my Phantasm. Now, you know, I do want to get that signature box set, but the thing is, the discs in each set are completely identical, so you're not missing anything. So I'm just glad I have this one. I need to get 2 and the ever-elusive Oblivion. That one's going to be nice and hard to find, so that's going to be a fun little search. And lastly, the one movie that I dropped $50 on, but had to do it, guys, had to do it. Just to get that nice digital sound, uncut, unaltered soundtrack. If you haven't figured it out by now, Return of the Living Dead, one of the all-time greatest zombie movies ever. I do have the Blu-ray on pre-order. I'm getting that nice big package that comes with like the 2 posters, the 2 slip covers. I'm getting it 3 weeks early. Believe me, I was one of the 1,000 people who ended up dropping the money on that one. And it wasn't that much. It was like 34 bucks, a pretty good deal. It sucks that it's going to be like 95% complete, but it's not going to have... It's missing one song, and they couldn't clear the rights. But it's better than nothing, but I wanted the original soundtrack, so this is the way to go. This thing is jumping up in price like crazy. So to get it for 50 bucks was more than fair. Next guy I dealt with, Trevor Ledin. New guy that I dealt with. He had some stuff up for trade. I had a few things I wanted to trade him, so ended up getting a copy of The Guardian. I've talked about this movie before. This one actually has no rot. Mine copy is a little bit rotted, so this is just a replacement. This one looked interesting. Never heard of it or seen it. Lair of the White Worm. Ooh, excuse me. No rot on this one. Been wanting to, you know, it just looked interesting. That's why I bought it, just because it looked, like I said, looked interesting. So what the hell, you know? For a trade, why not? Cost of shipping, why not? But one of the main reasons, or I should say, the main reason I got this one, dun dun dun, Warlock. Haven't seen this movie in a very long time. Glad to have it on Laserdisc. All right. And I think this is going to be, yeah, we're getting down to the wire here. We got a few more left, but nothing too much. Another name you guys have heard because of Sam Hatch and a few other people out there. Vinny Bencolari from Elite Entertainment. He had his little sale. He unearthed his movies from the vaults, as they say, and had a bunch of stuff that he was selling. So, first movie I got from him, Cue the Winged Serpent. Good Larry Cohen flick. I enjoy this one. Glad I got that one. Another one, Uncle Sam, I Want You Dead. This one never seen, but been wanting to check it out. Now, one movie that he did not have listed, but I asked him about it anyway. I said, hey, by chance, would you happen to have this movie in your vaults? And he said, actually, I have 3 copies of it. And he goes, I didn't even know I had it until you asked. So, ask and ye shall receive, Invaders from Mars. I've had this movie on countless formats. I think I have this now on Laserdisc, DVD, and Blu-ray. So, I've always enjoyed this movie. Again, we've been tossing that word underrated around a lot tonight, but underrated Tobe Hooper flick, so really, really good movie. Okay, next one up. Another name we've heard kicked around quite a bit, Kevin Cobos. Finally got some stuff from him. Only 2 things, though. Now, this one has a nice story to go with it. Me and Kevin have been going on the ropes for this one for about the last couple months, but we finally got a nice minty copy, Nemesis 2. I actually ended up getting this in from him several months ago. I want to say last year I got this from him. Unfortunately, when it arrived, the package that it came in got a gouge, and the disc was cracked. And it was, like I said, needless to say, it was unwatchable. And so for the last several months, he's been tracking me down a copy of Nemesis 2. When he finally got it, you know, he let me know, and he said, here, on the house, just, you know, get it with your next order, get it with the next movie you're going to get. And of course, I had to get The Professional, Leon. Got got tired of watching, you know, I went through 2 copies of the Professional on Laserdisc through Sony, and both of them were kind of rotted, so it's kind of like, you know what, I'm just going to get the best version of the movie, because I've always enjoyed the integral version more than I have the theatrical cut. Alright, so now we are done with Laserdisc Forever members. So again, guys, you've all gotten your names shouted out. Thank you again, everything, you know. You guys give me some good deals, and I'm glad to give the credit where credit's due, so thanks again, guys. Next seller, we're on to some online sellers here. I assume you guys have heard about the website Duff's Flicks. Well, I had to pick this one up from him, The Boneyard. Just a really, really funny movie. The funny thing is, what happened with this is that there was an eBay seller, which I'm going to come down to in a little bit. Now, this person was selling a bunch of good horror movies for, like, you know, all in auction. And the thing with The Boneyard was that I was watching the auction of it, and it was only at like $10. Well, I knew in the back of my head, I had what I like to call my ace in the hole. The Boneyard, Duff's Flicks had a brand new sealed copy for like $11.99. So I'm kind of like, you know what? I'm going to keep this one on the back burner just in case something goes south with the Boneyard. And sure enough, the Boneyard ended up going on eBay for like $20-something. And I was kind of like, whoa, okay. So as soon as that auction ended, I immediately hopped over to Duff's Flicks and ordered this. So, because you know what? Why pay $20 for a used disc when you can get a brand new one for $11.99? So that was worth getting, so I'm glad to pick that one up. Of course, now this was an eBay purchase, but I will give him credit where credit's due. Kevin Grosky over at the Laserdisc Vault. Been after this one for a very, very long time. Red Sun Rising. I had this on VHS. I am not the biggest Don the Dragon Wilson fan. I just never really liked his movies. This was the only movie I really enjoyed with him in it, because I liked the whole, this deals with the touch of death and, you know, mysticism and stuff like this. This is actually a pretty good movie. I caught it on HBO when it came on back in the 90s, so glad to get that one knocked out. Alright, now we're going back to that eBay seller that had the Boneyard. I was able to snatch 2 from that guy. Got Leprechaun, finally got that one knocked out, so that one's over. And one that I'm surprised only sold for, I think, $10-12, but the Willies finally snatched that one up. Really good. Again, underrated. Underrated PG-13 horror movie. The one thing I like about this, Donkey Lips from Salute Your Shorts is in this movie, so that's just worth it alone, so there you go. Alright, next eBay seller, we got 2 late release Laserdiscs. Now, this one I gotta tell you about, because this one's actually pretty funny. This seller pretty much screwed up really bad. What he did was he did not list his movies in his titles. So because of that, the auctions went for stupid low prices. Like, you had to have the eagle eyes in order to get it. Long story short, some of you guys know about the movie Soldier with Kurt Russell and Jason Scott Lee. Some lucky SOB who outbid me ended up getting Soldier for literally $20.50, along with 7 other movies. The thing is, Soldier's like a freaking $80, $90 Laserdisc. At least I think it is last time I checked. But, you know, that hurt a little. But these next 2, that would have hurt much worse. So these 2 I was not losing. This one, I had to get it to complete my Jackie Chan collection, and that is Twin Dragons. With this, I have all the Dimension Jackie Chan flicks that came out. This is the most elusive one. This one, it was a very late release. This was like late 99, early 2000 almost. There's not even cover art for this on Laserdisc Database, so this one is pretty hard to get. When they do pop up, I don't think they pop up for too much. It's just, the thing is, they don't pop up a lot. So, give it a shout out to my buddy Moikey Bod. He ended up getting a copy of this, and I was kind of jealous of him because he got it. So, but now I finally got it. So, and lastly, again, we are tossing this word underrated around so much, but you know what? This is going to be the last time I say it, I promise you. One of my favorite comedies of all time, Basketball. I adore the hell out of this movie. I've always loved it. You know, I was a pretty big South Park fan back in the day. I'm not too much anymore. It got too old too quick. But this was right on the cusp of South Park. These, you know, Trey Parker and Matt Stone are so funny. Their comic timing is so hilarious. It's just, it was a shame this movie was a box office disaster. I remember reading an article in Entertainment Weekly back in, I want to say 98, that when this movie was going to come out in the summer of 98, it was projected to make like over $100 million because it was tracking so well. But then when it came out with a monster thud and was just a big bomb. But you know what? It did find its audience on home video. I do have the DVD. I had the VHS when it came out, and now I finally got the Laserdisc, and this is a lot harder to get. So, all right. We are on our second to last eBay seller here. Ended up getting, now these ones are, I'm just going to go quick. Can't talk too much about them because it's cartoons. You know, it's just cartoons. This one really cool seller that Peter Biancardi turned me on to was selling a bunch of discs. He had them all at best offer, but he was actually taking 50% off of like his best offer. So if he had it for 40, he'd take 20. If he had it for 30, he'd take 15. So he had a bunch of Disney stuff up there, so I had to snatch all of it because, you know, I got kids and they enjoy watching stuff. So I got Chippendale, which, excuse me, oh, these stupid discs, they like to fall over, don't they? All right. There, that won't happen again. So anyway, Chippendale. I have this one, but this one, a much cleaner jacket, and none of these actually have rot. A lot of these are good pressings. Got Pluto. Also got Scary Tales. This one I used to rent a lot when I was a kid, along with Chippendale. Sport Goofy. Pretty funny. I watched all these recently with my kids, so they enjoyed it. Disney's Best. And lastly, out of those, got more Sport Goofy. So like I said, no rot in any of those. Now, ended up also getting the gold edition from this guy. Now, the one thing I will talk about is this first one, Donald's Bee Pictures. Now, what I nor the seller did not know is that this is actually a very rare pressing. I'm going to try to hold up the camera there. If you can see where it says, Bee at the Beach. Well, the thing was, that was a mistake. Bee at the Beach should have been on this. What happened was, during the mastering process, they accidentally put the cartoon T for 200 on here. And now, the thing is with T for 200, it does have some racist moments in it, you can actually tell, because the ants in that cartoon, it's basically Donald Duck going up against a group of ants at a picnic. The ants act like an African tribe, and there is a hint of racism there. So I think that wasn't supposed to be there. So what they ended up doing was they did repress it, and the represses were supposed to have a black sticker in the corner. The repress is more common. Like, that one is easier to find. That one you find anywhere. This sucker's the harder one to get. So I actually got this one. This is like a $30, $40 disc if you can ever find it. So glad I got lucky there. So next one up, World According to Goofy. Next one up, Disney Dream Factory. This one I just watched last night because I used to rent this one all the time when I was a kid, An Officer and a Duck. Some of my favorite Donald Duck Army cartoons. How the Best Was Won. These are all the Best Picture winners, all the Academy Award short subject winners. Life with Mickey. And lastly, from that, From Pluto with Love. So, oops. Alright, so we got down to our last two now. You guys heard me talk about how I'm a big Rush fan. I love Rush. Well, the thing is, I'm also, as you've heard me say, I'm a Chicago kid, you know. I love my Chicago music. I love my Chicago bands. One of my favorite Chicago bands just so happens to be REO Speedwagon. Took me a long time to track this one down, and at a pretty good price, because if you go on LDDB, there's guys who want like $100 for this thing. But adversely, you go on eBay, they probably only want $35, $40. Well, I didn't pay no $35, $40, but I paid a decent amount. Got the Live Infidelity disc. This is a great REO Speedwagon concert. This has only ever been released on Laserdisc, never been released on DVD. Highly doubt it will ever get released on DVD. There are 2 Japanese concerts, but unfortunately I missed those. Kevin Cobos had those, and I missed them. So hopefully I'll be able to get them again. So, and last but not least, we are down to what we call the most expensive Laserdisc I have ever purchased. Now, I have talked about how the most expensive box set I ever got was the Looney Tunes Volume 5. That was like $170-something. Well, up until recently, the most expensive disc I ever purchased was The Keep. You know, I spent like, I think, $69, $79 on it. I really can't remember. But I know it was pretty up there. Well, we now have a $95 Laserdisc that I got, but this sucker does not pop up very often. This one is very rare, and I mean extremely rare. When it pops up, it goes for some big money. And there was no way I was letting it go. It had to be mine, and it is mine. And I've been wanting it for a long time. Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. What can you say? one of the worst movies ever made. But I'll be damned if I don't enjoy the ever-loving hell out of it. It is just funny to watch. I really like it. I'm glad I finally own it. The reason it's worth a lot is because there is a box set called Kissology that came out, and I think you have to spend like maybe $20-30 on it, and it does come with Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. The problem is that it is the international cut and not the original TV cut. The TV cut is more sought after because apparently that's the better movie. So, and a lot of Kiss fans want to get their hands on this thing. So, and I am a Kiss fan, just not a die-hard Kiss fan. So, but anyway, that being said, the update is officially over. I'd like to thank you guys for stepping in for these last 40 minutes and enjoying to spend a little time with me. So, on that note, guys, I'll see you in the next couple weeks. I got some more stuff coming in. And as always, keep it spinning. Talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.